My name is Kenneth Geers. I am a senior research scientist with Komodo, and I have 20 years in government with time at NSA, NCIS, and NATO.
I'm Phillip Hallam-Maker. I'm principal scientist with Komodo, and I've got 25 years of experience in web security, beginning with the CERN web project, which I was a member of.
In general, I think there is incredible opportunity today via the networks and via cyberspace. If you only look at the educational opportunities and the information sharing capabilities. Of course, there's lots of bad guys out there and cyber criminals and spies, but I think overall, all things considered, they are dwarfed by the opportunities. Today in North Korea, for example, a generation ago, they could say, as they did, that when the first round of golf that the dear leader played, he hit a hole-in-one on every hole, right? And there's no peer review, there's no cross-examination of that information. But today in North Korea, every day more and more digital media is sneaking into the country because you can hide it anywhere. And I think that's a perfect example of how in the West we don't need to overreact to cyber threats. We don't want too much regulation or too much government control over what we're doing because by and large, the surface of good within, we talk about the hacker space and the attack space, but really the space for information sharing and education and understanding is growing at a phenomenal rate. And hopefully that is the side that will eventually be terrific for human history.
Well, when I started with the Web Consortium, and the slogan of the Web Consortium was to enable the web to reach its full potential. The reason that I got involved in security was when somebody put a shop online. So we had the Internet Shopping Network appeared one morning, and Tim and Berners-Lee came into my office and said, Phil, there's a shop online, and they want to take credit cards. And how does that happen? And at the time, you had to fax the credit card number over to the shop, and this obviously wasn't going to be viable. And so what we were looking at was, how did we give people the confidence to do shopping online? How do we justify that confidence as well? That's where the certificate infrastructure came from. And I think that we're now facing a very similar problem with Internet of Things, in that we can see this immense power of having an all-electronic digital infrastructure. But there's also an immense amount of risk and immense amount of exposure of the individual, because is that digital infrastructure they're being asked to buy, is that going to work for them or for somebody else? And so really what the security comes down to, if we have that security core, then we can realize the potential of Internet of Things. But if we don't, maybe we can't.
I would say that despite the cyber attacks we see, despite the greatest transfer of intellectual wealth and human history from our companies to those stealing them from overseas, as former CIA director put it, I still think, though, that none of us would trade what we're gaining from the internet, right? So we're all very happy while recognizing the pitfalls, the dangers, the doxing that can be so destructive to to individuals and to businesses, and now even countries, and even the NSA was doxed. But overall, the opportunities are incredible, and they are essentially, I think, planet transforming. I don't know what you think about this, but I think we've already laid the foundation for one world government. You and Tim Berners-Lee laying these fibers across the planet a generation ago. Essentially, when you started doing that, the nation state was over. We're in a post-Westphalia time. It'll take some months and years, but essentially, with cyberspace in existence, subcultures, vegetarians and Catholics and atheists and race car enthusiasts, they are gelling together at a faster rate than, let's say, and they exist in virtual communities across the world, no matter what country they're in.
Well, I'm optimistic and I'm pessimistic on that score.
Yeah.
In that, yes, I agree with you. I mean, like, there are vertical communities that have established themselves across the net. I mean, like, we have groups of Iranians and Israelis. We have groups of Russians and Ukrainians. Yes, there are international tensions, but one of the and also there are groups that whenever we have an international tension building up, there are groups that go into cyberspace and start hammering at each other, the hacktivism effect. But there are also groups that are cross national borders looking to build up international relationship capital. If you look at the Iranian elections, what we had going on there, we had protesters in Iran would exfiltrate data to the West via Tor. It was broadcast. It was accumulated. People used Twitter to get it to Oxford Girl, who then got it to the BBC, who broadcast it back into Iran over the satellite. And so, yes, we do have that globalization effect. I think that we've also got to be cognizant of the fact, though, that for some people we're moving much faster than they can accept. And one of the things that I don't think, I'm very sensitive to the fact that when I was born 50 years ago, liberal democracy was a rare form of government. When I first went to Eastern Europe, it was a police state. When I first went to Spain, it was a fascist dictatorship. Today, liberal democracy is over half of the countries in the world. If you look at the countries that are liberalizing over the past 10 years, it is a different world. But we've also got the backlash. And ISIS is a backlash against modernity. You have these people who are living in the Middle Ages, and suddenly they're being pulled into the 21st century. Even in the West, we have people who are shocked by the pace of change. This liberal democracy that we're talking about, in which it's okay to be gay, it's okay to be a woman, it's okay, that's 50 years old. That has happened in my lifetime. That we've come to the point where even women's equality becoming routine and expected. And so we've got to be cognizant of just what a wreck we've left some parts of the world, and just how much we are demanding of the broader population, because they like the internet, but we never quite explained to them that there was more to it than just cute pictures of cats.
So thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate your time and attention. And on behalf of Phillip and me, we really appreciate it. And if you want any further information, feel free to reach out to us or go to komodo.com.
Thank you.